Hi everyone, it's Kim with Vintage Vikings. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make tassels. Tassels can be used in all different types of places in your junk journals. You can use them as on the spine, you can use them as tag toppers, we can use them on the page edges for the little dangles with your paper clips. You can use them on your tabs and hang it down so it leaves a little bit of a movement and decoration to your junk journals. There's really no limit as to what you can do with a tassel. And so I thought we would go through and make a few simple tassels out of my box of DMC floss, which is just a cotton floss. You can get them at any craft store. A lot of times they have them 10 for, sometimes 10 for $5, so that makes them 50 cents a piece, and you can usually, depending on how big you want your tassel, you can get 2 tassels out of each. A lot of times you can go to garage sales and you can find the organizers where somebody's already taken them and put them onto these nice little cards. Sometimes you even have them where they're numbered. And so I use these for my spine binding. So when I'm doing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, I use this. I think I got this at a craft, either at a crafty garage sale or a thrift store for not very much. So look for those things for making tassels. So that one is very organized. This box, however, is when I find little bits and pieces at thrift stores, and sometimes there's full sets. Other times there are the leftovers from somebody's embroidery project, so you get weird things like this. So I thought I'd show you a couple of different ways of how to make tassels out of what looks like could be a mess. And so we'll start with the traditional one, which is very simple. I'm trying to find a one that's a little bit messed up. Okay, so the way I make a tassel, the traditional way, is you just take your whatever you're using. You can use yarn, DMC floss, ribbon, whatever you want to make your tassel out of. And if you notice, this one's kind of all jumbled up. So I'm just going to try to separate it a little bit here and see if I can easily find the end. Here we go. So this, sometimes when you buy your floss at a thrift store or at a garage sale or not right off the rack at the craft store, it can get a little tangled. So I'm going to just untangle a bit here. That seems to be okay. And then depending on how long you want your tassel, you just need some sort of a hard square surface. And this will give me a tassel that's just a little bit shorter than this, or if I wanted it to be long, you go the long way. So let me show you. So what I do is we're going to make a shorter tassel. So you hold the edge of it down and then you just start wrapping. And depending on how many times you wrap is how many times or how large your tassel is going to be and how fluffy your tassel is going to be. And see, now we're getting all tangled, and before you get there, you want to just try to stretch it all out. And I just needed to make a bunch of tassels for a project I'm working on. I'm doing some magic carpet tucks out of a book I found that was all old Oriental rugs. And the book was in the 50-cent bin, and it was very old and the cover was torn. So I thought, well, let's see what we can do with this. And I'm working on making some fun magic carpets, and I need tassels for the corners. Okay, so now, as you see, we've got that whole skein wrapped around here, and it's pretty tight. So then I'm going to unwrap a few because you need a little bit for you need to save a little bit for the hanger, and you need to save a little bit for the tie. And so that looks like it's going to be around, if I unwrapped it 2 or 3 times. And then we'll just give it a snip. Now the easiest way to do it if you're on a hard surface like this is you want to just shove the thread back through underneath your whole bundle of thread, or your whole bundle of DMC floss. And I probably shouldn't have done it so tightly, because then this would have been an easier process. Okay, so now you've got your thread like this, and your ending is at the bottom. You're going to want to leave the end at the bottom. Pull this to the top of your, whatever you're wrapping it on, and you can use pretty much anything. You can use a square piece of cardstock, you can use your remote control, you can use a box, you can use a deck of cards, pretty much anything that's pretty sturdy. Then I'm going to tie it off 2 or 3 times, switching it to make a square knot so it doesn't come out. Okay. And then to make the loop, I just simply do and I'm not sure what the name of this knot is. I think it's called an eagle's nest knot, but I could be wrong. It's just the knot where because this way then it doesn't slide back on itself. And you can always shorten this if you need to change it for a different project. Okay, now, so you've got your hanger at the top and it's pretty tight. And then you've got this part left over down here. Then you just slide your scissors. And this is nice because I can just slide them. I don't know if you can see, there's a little groove on this stamp pad. Slide your scissors. And I'm holding right here so that it doesn't get away from me. And just snip. So then you have what looks like a mustache or a little doll hair. Then you simply just hold the very top, smooth it down a little bit. And here's my mistake. I used all of my thread in this instead of cutting it in half like I should have. So easy fix for that is you just go in here and you take one of your tassel threads out, and that's what you'll use to tie it. Okay, I like to try to give it a little smooth. Okay, then holding the tassel part in your hand and leaving the dangly part at the top, I hold it like this and then wrap the tie thread twice. I don't know if you can see that, twice around the neck, and then try to pin it down so you can get that first knot. And then cinch it pretty tight, and then make your square knot, which is basically a right over left and a left over right, or vice versa. And that should lock the knot on itself. And then what I do is then I take that string and I just smooth it down inside of here. Now, don't worry if it looks like a mess like this. It'll all eventually hang out nicely. But so if you looked, I wasn't as great at making sure it was even when I tied it. So all you do then is trim it. And that is the first way of making a tassel. And I usually leave mine all long until I'm ready to actually do the project, and then I trim them as needed. Okay, so that's the first way to make them. And excuse me. And then what I sometimes will do is if they're a little funky like this, whereas if you notice some of them, you've got the little bends. See where the bend is? That's from where it's wrapped into this. It causes a little crease. I take all of these when I'm all done, and I take some clothespins at the bottom of one of those velvet hangers, a skinny hanger that you can put clothespins along the bottom, and then I just hang these individually and hang it in the bathroom, so whoever the next person to take a shower is, they get nice and steamy and they hang super, super, super nice. You can also take a steam iron and do a little steam iron on them. Okay, so that's the first way we're going to make a tassel. The second way I just came up with because I was trying to save some time and I was trying to do them very quickly. So what I did was I found some matching, let's see what we can use here. This is kind of a mess in here. Let's see, I think this pink one is a little bit of a wreck. So I'm going to take this pink one that's just a mess that eventually will get wrapped into something, and I'm going to use that as the tie-offs for this one. Okay, and so most of your DMC floss will have these little wraps on them. Okay, let's see if this one goes as easily as the other ones did. I'm just going to get rid of this real quick. Okay, so then what I do is I start with this, which actually would make a nice tassel as it is, but I'm going to just steal a little bit of the thread off of here to make the tie. And as you notice, this is tangly because it was all in a heap. And I'm going to remember this time to cut it in half. So I have one for the wraparound and one for the dangle. There we go. So you've got two pieces there. Now we're going to take our shank of, or your hank of embroidery floss, and we're going to go in and we're going to try to separate in that loop. Sometimes if you just stick something through like a long needle, a crochet hook, the tip of your scissors, you can get the whole business. So you've got that loop there. So then I just loop that on my finger. Then I work on the next side, which again you can kind of see is pretty nice and neat. So I found the opening, stuck my scissors in there, and so now I have the bit split in half. Whoops, I already popped that part off. You can tell this is a little bit old. Now, looks like I missed a few here, which is an easy fix because then you can just go in with your scissor. It's like threading a needle. And then now you've reunited it with its loop. And it looks like that one's twisted, but you can fix that once you have it all done. So now this is going to be the same as we did the other one. So, and this one I'm going to, you can put a, like a paper clip or a safety pin if you want to just set it down, but I've been doing these for a while, so I've been trying to just do them without the extra step. Okay, so you see it's just hanging. I went through the loop, and it looks like I may have missed a couple there on this end. Easy enough to fix. You just take your thread off like that. Recatch that thread, and if you see there's that pesky little end sticking up again like we did on the last one, see it right there? Don't worry, that'll be managed at the end. Oh, it's actually a loop. It's wonderful when you're crafting and you're not wearing your little reading glasses. Okay, now we're ready to go again. And we'll take our thread and loop it through, do our little knot. Boy, this pink thread is much harder to see. Okay, and make sure that it's all the way at the top. There we go. And see how it's a little wonky there? That's okay. As soon as you let it free at the bottom, that all just fixes itself. So we've got that one. And I'm going to wait and tie this off until I can get this one off of my finger. Okay, now we're going to take the other piece of pink string we had left over. There's that pesky little doodad. Make sure these are all nice and straight. There we go. And again, if you miss one, do not worry about it because it will slide right out when we get to the next step. Okay. So now you've got a little dangly off of each end, and here's where you make the decision. Do you want to split it directly in half, or do you want to make a small and a short and a long tassel? It's completely up to you. I'm just going to put this little band right in the middle. Usually you just cut right between the two bands, but since this one only had the one, since the other one broke off, ta-da! Now you've already got, you didn't have to, this basically just alleviates the wrapping part. And then we're going to just grab this piece, which was the extra hanging down piece. And then, see, you can just make, this was the extra one that came out. You're never going to miss one little bit like that. Okay. And now that you've got these into tassel form, next step again is pretty simple. This one I'm just smoothing out a tiny little bit. See how it's got a little bump there? This is the part in which you just smooth it out and make sure that it's, you're just basically moving the threads back and forth. And it looks pretty even. And then, this is the nice thing when you have these extra bits of thread in your stash that you just cut off. Another couple of pieces to do the tie arounds. Pretty simple. And again, you just grab this by the bottom of the tassel. I wrap it twice. You can wrap it more times if you want a fancier one. You can also use different colored wrapping. So if you want to do a multicolored tassel, you can do the string part and the wrap around in different colors, or you can mix it up and actually take two different colors and wrap them together. Okay, so now that we've got that secured, nice and secure, I'm going to go ahead and nip off those two bits, then finish the top off by doing that wrap around, the wraparound knot or the eagle's nest knot. I'm not sure about that. So that's where you just have that little loop and snip it off. There's that one. Give this one a nice little tug. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Again, hold it by the tassel-y part, wrap it twice. And it will seem awkward the first couple of times you do it, but once you get the hang of it, your tassel making process will go pretty quickly. Give it a little right over left, and then a left over right, I think. Smooth it down. And again, these are just simple tassels to save some time by using just one shank or hank, I'm not sure what it's called, skein of DMC floss that you can get pretty much anywhere. And it's a nice inexpensive way to make tassels. So here are some of the tassels that we made today. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this tassel making tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and it would mean a lot to me if you could just go ahead and subscribe to my channel and like this video. It helps me, helps the algorithm, and it also helps me when I make new videos to see what everybody actually enjoys watching. So have a great day and happy crafting!